So I'm sure a lot of Nigerians have heard about the Nigerian government planning to set up a new task force to control food prices. As we may have heard, Nigeria is likely to go into a food crisis in 2017. That's what some forecasters said last year. So the government says, look, there's a bit of a problem here moving products or agri-products from the farm to the towns, villages, down to the cities where some of you, our viewers, are and where I am. Unfortunately, I got to be here. This is where the market's headquarters are, so I just have to be here, folks. Apologies for that. So the problem was that the government wants to bridge the gap, what they call the middlemen. So by the time you have a bunch of banana arrive in Lagos, then you're looking at a price that is significantly different from the farms where it was harvested. The man who calls himself a farmer by name, perhaps the only Nigerian so far, I haven't seen another one, African farmer, not just Nigeria, but continental. Magaji is here with us. He's an agri-consultant in the studio. Good morning. It's good to see you again.
Good morning.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, quite some time.
It's been a long time. I'm going to ask you about the name, why you decide to be a farmer by name and by practice.
Yes.
Someday I will do that, perhaps before the end of the program. But do you think this price monitoring task force that Buhari's administration wants to set in place, do you think is a good one?
I don't think so. It may not be effective.
May not be effective? Yes. Is it not effective? Is it the intention or what the terms of reference will be?
Everything about it. The Ministry of Agriculture has worked on different aspects of the agri-economy, so to speak. The Ministry of Water Resources have also been doing a lot of things. So bringing them together to ask them as a task force, I don't see that, going anywhere. However, we need a task force, but the task force is to monitor the Ministry of Agriculture. The task force is to monitor the Ministry of Water Resources. The task force should be set up to monitor these ministries to ensuring that they do what they're supposed to do.
In terms of food prices,
yes,
you and I agree, and we know this in Nigeria, that from the time you get a basket of tomato,
yes,
from Kano, for example, all the way to Lagos, you're talking about different prices.
Yes, all the way. All the way.
So do you think the government has the right, therefore, to intervene on behalf of the people and say, hold on a second, this price is still something to be in tune with what's on the ground, because folks say it's foreign exchange, is the dollar affecting tomato and onions and banana?
Yes, you see, government cannot dictate the price. I heard them in a publication say that they don't want to dictate the price, they want to influence the movement of farm produce. But have you funded any of these processes? Because if you don't put money in it, you can control it. If you go to invest in agriculture today and you've bought chemicals at 100% increase in price, fertilizer 100% increase in price, and government wants to regulate the price, it will drive many people out of the sector because it's no longer a free market.
Which would drive people out of farming,
yes,
and agriculture.
Agribusiness. Yes, it would.
Now, what do you think this price monitoring task force would do? Would they be like the ones that controls traffic in Lagos, for Kai, for example, arrest people if you don't comply, put you in the Black Maria, as we see? Or is it going to force farmers to say, look, you got a basket of tomato, an onion, or groundnut, this is how much you should sell it?
You know, the dynamics of the people we call farmers has changed within the last 4 years. We have more educated people, more professionals in different learned individuals, accomplished professionals who have now invested hugely in agriculture. So their knowledge is going to come in play, and they know that you can't regulate a price when I bought expensive. Okay, so in the last 1 year, the prices of every input has doubled by 30 to 50%.
Blame foreign exchange. Here we go.
Yeah, really. One of the reasons why grains and other things like tomatoes will be expensive this year is because, one, labor, which is an influence of the devaluation. Now, in the Southwest now, about 80–90% of the farm labor that we use are from Benin or Togo. Now, what has happened is they come in, work for a year, and move out. However, now, CFA is better than Naira. So since April, May last year, they stopped coming to look for greener pastures. So there's no workforce. Tomatoes, as I speak, is in the 9 to 12,000 Naira range per basket. As of January, it was 5,000. And normally around March, April, that's when it begins to pick up. So already now it has jumped from 5,000 to 12,000. And the peak is May, June, July. So what that means is that the prices is likely to go higher. And what cushions that market is when there's no tomatoes coming from the north, the southwest produces depending on the labor that comes from Benin and Togo.
Break my heart, and I'm going to put a pause to that. You mean with 180 million Nigerians, youth unemployment at a record level, we don't have enough youths to do farming for tomato in Nigeria. Nigeria now imports labor onto the farms to do tomato farms from Benin and Togo and Republic of Togo.
Yeah, that's been the norm in the last 8-9 years. It's not new.
So if I get on a typical cassava and tomato farm, I'm likely going to be speaking to someone in a language that perhaps he does not understand if I speak any of the local dialect, because it's a foreigner, as it were.
Not likely. That's what you would meet. It's not likely. That's the reality.
So we import everything, including labor, yes. Tomato farmers. Okay, because we don't have the skill nor the knowledge of planting tomato, right?
Well, we have the skill, but the labor, you need to weed. But one thing is...
So our youths don't want to go to the farm, Nigerian youths
yes.
don't want to go to the farm to weed the farm, bend down, use cutlass and hoes, right?
Yes, you see, using cutlasses and hoes really is obsolete. We can't attain the kind of food security we really need. So in Asia, for instance, now, where we have almost same climate, what you do is you drip irrigation. There's what is called mulch, like a nylon that you spread to retard weeds from growing. These are the things that we need to use now to ensure food security. However, it's dependent on dollar. The nylons are imported, the drip tapes are imported. So if you send a graduate who is educated, who is social media savvy, to go and pick hoes and cutlasses, he won't do it. Even the uneducated youths have seen their parents over time not make anything good out of life because they make money this year, drought takes it off next year. So they really don't want to follow their parents' path. So we need the task force really to come in, not to fix price, but to ensure that the process is appealing to both youths and the private sector professionals.
And a bit perhaps less cost.
Yes.
A bit cost effective, to put it that way.
Yes.
So that at least I can meet my investment objectives. If I've borrowed funds to do farming as a blue collar, white collar guy, investor or farmer, like yourself, even though you're not putting on a tie, right? You're a white collar folk. So you do white collar, blue collar farming.
But again, green collar.
You do green collar.
Yeah.
That's I said the green one there on African farmer. That's a nice one. Okay, now where do we go from here with this task force? And we go back to the central subject. Do you think this is a task force that should be a separate agency, getting their own salaries differently, perhaps have offices, motor cars, and the usual? Should we raise the cost of governance all over again, isn't it?
No, you see, there's provision for this task force in each of these ministries. It's just for them to work. However, they need to be a team now. And I will call for volunteers. Like in the US, when I've done some volunteering jobs, they put together volunteers who monitor these processes as against funding them, increasing the cost that already is not enough. So we need to raise more volunteers to say at local government level, at rural level, at state level. It can't be a federal thing. It's not effective.
I was just going to ask how this task force will run across the four corners of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to be on every farm, on every street. But my fear is this, 2 minutes to round off this discussion. If this task force will not start seizing bags of rice, baskets of tomato from farmers, and they end up on someone's dinner table,
You know, let me say this. Now, the present situation in the country now is that tomatoes is being bought from Mile 12 and taken to Benin Republic because they don't have enough. So the task force needs to be showing the private sector how economically profitable it will be for them to go into agriculture now. We heard about the grains from someone for the ministry, from the presidency. Now, our West African countries depend on Nigeria now because of climate change issues. So we need to stay on the positive side, show the private sector where the money is.
Perhaps the tomato I should be having on my dinner table, someone else is eating it in Benin Republic.
No, we have more than
because
enough.
that tomato came all the way from Kano down to Lagos,
yes,
and off it goes to the border.
Yeah, for now.
The way we do with petrol products.
No, for now, we have more than enough.
But the price is still high. Nobody's going to listen to you, Magaji here, sure. We don't have enough. Folks out there will tell you they don't have enough. No, Harriet is coming out. She cooks all the time. I don't cook. I hardly cook. She's going to grab you on your way out and tell you, tell her what the price of tomato is at if we have enough. But it's good to have you here. I'm sure it's a conversation we can finish off in one day.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to talk about as far as this is concerned. But you brought a lot of things to our attention, and we really appreciate that. It was good to see you, and we'll see you again. And I'm going to ask that question about African farmer Magaji as a name.